New Level Cap Podcast is a show about fun, friends, game design, and all things otherwise. Your hosts are Marco DeSantos and Brad Telton of Level 99 Games. I'm Chris Solis, your producer, and without further ado, please enjoy the show.
Popping off like in Smash Brothers.
Well, it's Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh my gosh.
And that guy from Dragon Quest.
The guy is from Dragon Quest.
I've never played a Dragon Quest.
Yeah, there's I think they're just all reskins or echoes, I think.
I see.
But there's 3 Dragon Quest characters, so...
Really? Wait, there's 3 of them?
Yeah, so there's the one from the newest one, there's one from the OG one, and then there was one from Dragon Quest 7 or something. The guy with the red bandana or whatever.
Must be the most popular one.
Yeah, the most
popular
actual
one. Most popular one.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think OG Dragon Quest too. The one where the main character just looks like an Akira Toriyama character. Well, to be fair, all of them look like Akira Toriyama.
All Akira Toriyama characters look like Akira Toriyama characters.
Yeah, okay, fine.
So,
that's fair,
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that Dragon Quest is literally just Akira Toriyama characters.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I wonder... Well,
why?
Anyway.
Why?
Not a big deal.
What?
I really just want another Chrono Trigger, which was also originally drawn by Toriyama.
I guess we'll move on to the first segment of what we've been doing. This is a very special episode because this isn't an educational one, as it more is an informational one. So let's start off with our first segment. What I've been doing is watching one of my favorite Let's Players in the entire world, Chiga Conroy, Let's Play Chrono Trigger. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So if for people who don't know, I'm a relatively young-ish guy. So I was in the gaming era of Game Boy Advance, PlayStation 1, right? Which means I never played the SNES or the GameCube or any of these older ones. So I have never played.
The GameCube was after the PS1.
Yes,
right?
yes, I know. But I came in where the PS1 was just out. So I became a Sony boy. You know what I mean? So I didn't start with the SNES. So I didn't go oh yeah, therefore I must get the GameCube. I was just I got the PS1, so I guess I'm gonna wait until the PS2 or something like that.
There was this certain era of Super Nintendo RPGs that was really, I guess we'd call it the golden age of JRPGs, and we got games like Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. Ogre Tactics.
Ogre Tactics was on the...
Ogre Battle. Sorry, it was Ogre Battle.
Okay, I was about to say.
Ogre Tactics came later.
Yeah.
But Ogre Tactics was basically just Ogre Battle. It was a tactics game all along.
It was in your heart.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not saying that correctly, because I never played that either.
I see.
Some of the... what else? Anyway, there's a lot of them in that era. And that was kind of when I started. Oh, Earthbound is another big one.
Oh my gosh, Earthbound?
Mario RPG, Secret of the Stars.
Wait, are you talking about the one where it's a Squeenix game?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is kind of the period where Square became famous.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous because JRPGs are some of my favorite games. So
they were good.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a good time to be playing games.
If you ask me what my favorite video game of all time is, I will tell you it's Final Fantasy III. Real Final Fantasy III. Sorry, not American Final Fantasy III.
Which was Final Fantasy VI.
Yes.
Which is actually really good.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that these are bad games, right? I'm just saying that my favorite one's Final Fantasy III. Which is a weird choice, I know, but I like Final Fantasy III.
It was okay.
Yeah, I'm more into the nitty-gritty mechanics stuff and less about the entire story stuff. And 3 just lets you to go wild with jobs, right? And in 6, in 6, the jobs are the characters. So if I wanted to have a team filled with, I don't know, edges or whatever, I couldn't, right? But in Final Fantasy 3, you could. So
that's true, and I can see that. At the same time, I really liked how the 6 brought personality to the characters.
That's fair.
You kind of felt like the artist class had a certain personality to it, and they let you do quirky classes that maybe you couldn't support having multiples of in your party. Your party would probably be pretty bad if you had 4 copies of Terra in your party. it wouldn't go too well for just about any monster.
Yeah, they would probably explode and die because Terra is basically broken. I mean, like, but that's the point, right? Like, I feel like there's a good middle ground because the DS version of Final Fantasy III does give personality to the characters while still letting you job change.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of meets that middle ground for me where, like,
yeah,
okay,
I haven't played through that.
I feel like it's the better version for sure. Especially because you can also get the Onion Knight class, which is like my favorite class in all of Final Fantasy. So,
I see.
Yeah, sorry.
So why? So if you like the job system so much, why 3 and not say 10-2?
Why not 10-2 or 5? 5's also pretty good, right? Because they also have jobs. 10.
5. You might be thinking of 4. I don't think 5 has jobs, or maybe I'm thinking of 4.
Wait, is 5 the one with Bart's? Because 4 is the one with
maybe
Kane,
I'm mistaken.
Right?
Okay, I'm thinking of 4 then.
Yeah, 4 is the one with Rydia,
Cecil and Kane.
Yeah, Kane, Rydia, Cecil. That's 4, and they have locked-in jobs, right? Like Cecil's always going to be a paladin / Dark Knight. In 5, I think you can do jobs because Bart's, at least in Dissidia, I remember Bart's gimmick being that he could use multiple skills from different jobs because he was a mime, and he's not always a mime, right? But yeah. I guess the ultimate point is that why not 10-2? Actually, I really liked 10-2. So, I mean, like you were...
I liked the combat in 10-2.
Yeah, I mean, some of the jobs are a bit iffy in 10-2. Like, some of them don't make really much sense to me, but...
It was always fun when the characters complained about their jobs.
Yeah, it was great. It's like, why are we like this now? Why are we dressed like this? Can we not?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I like this. I like jobs and job spheres. Anyway, that's my point. What have you been doing, Brad? We digress.
Okay, so digression aside, back to the actual content. So we were last week at Licensing Expo in Las Vegas. That was me, Chris, and Jackie, and we were talking to various licensors from around the world to try and bring more characters to Exceed, and maybe to create some other licensed tabletop editions.
Ooh. Wait, when you say licensed tabletop editions, does that mean like we take a license and we create an entirely new game for it? Or like
it can be a new game, or it can be an old game. It could be a reskin, could be another Exceed character, it could be a completely original tabletop experience, something from scratch.
Oh.
But yeah, really anything goes. Any way that you could imagine a property being used. This is what we were going to talk about.
Oh, really? Is this the topic for this episode?
Yeah, I can tell you pretty much everything about it, except, and I can tell you what licenses we talked to, but I couldn't really tell you like if we signed anything.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's fair, right?
Yeah, because we have to do formal announcements and press releases and all that fun stuff. Yeah. But for the actual show itself, I can tell you who we talked to, and what we talked to them about and that sort of thing.
It's not like it's illegal to tell people what you did, right?
Yeah, no, not particularly. I just don't want to get anybody's hopes up for things that may not happen. So maybe I'm a little wary of saying too much about specific things that we discussed.
So this is a blanket statement saying that these are just things that transpired, but do not necessarily imply that, like, just because we talk to DreamWorks doesn't mean we get Shrek Exceed, right?
Yeah. But I will go ahead and drop this bomb. We did not talk to DreamWorks.
Are you sure?
100%. And there will never be Shrek Exceed.
Brad, why are you crushing my dreams? So, because after we released in the last episode that we would never do Shrek Exceed, some of our fans were heavily disappointed, but then held on to the hope that we would at least talk to DreamWorks for Trolls Exceed.
Well, guess what? I'm going to drop another bomb here. We did not talk to DreamWorks at all. No. And there will be no Trolls Exceed.
Why not? Okay, fine. Let's talk about this some other time. But yes, fans, yes, listeners, this is why we had to release the Perfect Past Future Tense episode last week. It's because Brad was gone, and hopefully this episode will illuminate and hopefully justify why Brad was not here last week. So, Brad, what is Licensing Expo? Like, for people who have no idea, like, what's the purpose of these kinds of, like, events, right?
Yeah, so this is a trade show where brand owners take their properties and meet with manufacturers in order to sell their properties in manufactured goods. So if I wanted to, for example, get Shrek into Exceed, like you're talking about, Marco.
Yes.
So I'd go to DreamWorks and I'd say, hey, this is what we want to make. This is how much we're going to pay for it. And this is how many of them we're going to make and the royalty that we'll pay for those. And here's our sales, distribution numbers, where our products are sold, and what our revenues are. Do we keep insurance on our warehouse? Like that kind of thing. It's all sorts of different things that all come together.
I see. So if I'm getting this right, it's like speed dating.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you make all of the arrangements in advance. So when you go there to meet people, you meet them ahead of time. You schedule with them ahead of time, then you meet face to face and talk.
I see.
And when you're talking to them, we're talking about what kind of thing we might make and just trying to get a feel for how excited they are about it and whether they'll be able to get this proposal past their board. It can be really tough, depending on the kind of things you're trying to make.
Yeah.
And also how saturated the space is. So, for example, let's say we were talking with Aniplex and I wanted to do a game based on Fate, right? If there are other card games based on Fate, then they probably would say, no, you can't make another card game. But we consider miniatures as a separate space than card games. And so if we said, hey, we want to do a miniatures game, they'd say, okay, well, somebody else is doing the card game, but you can do the miniatures game. Obviously, if we wanted to do something like an anime, they would probably say outright no, because
that's
the anime is our property. Yeah.
That's our thing.
Right. And that's sort of how that goes.
Okay. So, Brad, I have a big question for you, right? In terms of doing stuff like this, we talked a lot about this kind of stuff in our episode about licensing and why you would want to license some stuff, right? Ultimately, though, in your experience, is this an easy event to do? Like how hard is it to convince people? What tends to be the hardest thing to convince people about, and what tends to be the easiest thing to convince people about?
Well, the hardest thing, I think, to convince people about is, with this industry specifically, is the amount of artwork that you need for a board game, and the limited distribution scope for tabletop games, right? These aren't carried in just about every store in the country. Like, some of them go to Target, and the licensors really all want you to be in Target because that's where the mass market is. But we are mostly, a little bit more boutique. We're selling to direct customers on Kickstarter. We're selling direct through our online store. And we're doing a little bit in the hobby collectibles distribution. And so telling people, yeah, this is what our sales reach is, and this is how many units we make, sometimes is a little bit tougher as a smaller publisher.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because we're printing, numbers that are less than 20,000 of a game.
Yeah. So are you telling me that they expect you to be Hasbro and just have stocks in Toys R Us?
They'd like you to be Hasbro.
Oh gosh.
Right? They want you to be printing hundreds of thousands of units. But after the success of games like, say, the Dark Souls board game or the Devil May Cry board game or just the big video game board games like Batman and stuff that have gone out.
I was about to say Batman Chronicles.
Yeah.
Like that thing's just like super popular.
Yeah, so companies are starting to see that there is money even in a small run of a project. And so, I can go and say, like, hey, look, we really want to make a game based on One Punch Man, and we think we can replicate that kind of success on Kickstarter. Then, a company might say, okay, well, we're on board for that. If you really believe that you can make $2 or $3 million on this, sure.
Yeah.
And that's pretty good if we can get to there. But so we've talked with a few companies about doing some kind of large miniatures game like that.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. So that's the hardest thing. What's the easiest thing?
About the Licensing Expo?
I mean, like about getting licensing or like license holders to like you said, it's hard to convince them about the tabletop space because mostly it's a non-traditional format that's not very mass marketable, etc. Like what's easy? What's easy to do?
What is easy? Really, you save a lot of time and money on artwork. That's what's easy about it.
I see.
And you have an installed fan base that gets marketed to. So usually saying, if we went to a company and said, hey, we're gonna do Pac-Man, the board game, I also need you to tell all the Pac-Man fans on your Twitter feed that this game's coming out, then that Namco would do that for us. And so convincing them to assist you in marketing is generally pretty easy because they're getting a kickback too on every unit you sell.
I see. So So the hard thing is to get your foot in the door, and then once that happens, everything else is kind of quote unquote smooth sailing, so to speak.
Well, and a lot of it's finding the right project for the right audience too. For example, let's say that we come across, and we talked about this at the show. We really like some of the classic toy licenses, like
Transformers.
Let's say, yeah, well, Transformers maybe is a good fit, but let's say that when I was a kid, I watched Care Bears, and I think the Care Bears are cute. I'd love for my kid to watch Care Bears.
Wait, do you have a kid?
Not yet.
Sorry,
but
future kid. Okay.
My hypothetical kid.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, Brad has a kid? I never knew.
But anyway, would Level 99 games be a good fit for a Care Bears board game? Probably not. It's probably not quite like what we go for. Even if our values are kind of aligned with that series, it wouldn't be a great match because our demographic targets are not the same.
Are you sure that if we didn't make the Care Bears into like appealing anime characters and then they punched each other, like, are you sure that wouldn't be a good fit?
Are you sure the licensor would ever possibly allow such a thing? I mean, okay. So anyway.
Fair. That's fair.
Point being, we finding the right license for the right kind of company, which is the kind of game that we make, right? So finding a license that fits with the kind of profile the Level 99 games has, that has the artwork and the resources to let us do what we want to do, and to bring an original property to life in the form of a board game. It can be tough to find the right match.
Yeah, for sure. Much like in speed dating, I guess. Wow, this speed dating analogy, it has worked so far, I guess.
It was basically matchmaking, right? Like, you've got something to offer, and the other side has something to offer, and you're trying to find the right pairing that will give you they'll generate the best result, best compatibility.
Oh, I like it. So, hopefully, after the break, we'll talk about some possible dates for Level 99 games, and whether or not Level 99 Games Chan finds her match. So, Brad, take us to the break. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
Level 99 Chan says, Marco Senpai, why are you so mean to me?
Oh no, let's just cut to the break.
Want a game with other Level 99 Games fans, such as yourself? Join the official Discord channel. You can find the invitation link in the description below.
Hey, it's me, Marco, back from the break, and here to talk about Licensing Expo with Brad and some cool stuff. So we might talk about the people we've talked to, the licenses we talked to. Again, quick disclaimer, no guarantees that these are licenses that pushed through or whatever. We're just here reporting the things that happened. But before we get to that, I want to ask Brad a very personal question.
Sure. I'll answer it if I can.
All right. Brad, any cool stories from Licensing Expo? Was there like did you all, I don't know, play ping pong with smiley faces or something? I don't know.
We did play ping pong at the Smiley / Rubik's Cube booth.
Wait, that actually happened?
Yeah, they're owned by the same company. Yeah, they had a ping pong table with smiley face ping pong balls, and we played some ping pong while we waited for that meeting.
I love it. That sounds great.
We talked with a lot of companies. All the good Konami licenses are gone.
Wait, are gone in the sense that they're all taken, or gone as in they're not there?
Yeah, we had a pretty fun meeting with Konami where we sat down, and the Konami representative there was like, so we've expanded. We now have, not only do we have Yu-Gi-Oh!, which you can't make any games for, by the way, but we also have Contra and Bomberman and Frogger, and also, by the way, Bomberman and Contra are taken in your space. And we just kind of looked at each other, and then we were like, so can you introduce us to the team that does Castlevania? And it was pretty clear that neither of us wanted to be talking to the other one.
Oh, that's awkward.
Because they're divided in a weird way, that the video games division is different than the anime division, but the anime division also handles the classic video game properties.
That's weird. Oh, right, because Frogger was there for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we chose not to pursue Frogger. Spoiler alert.
What? Frogger Exceed?
Yeah, please no.
No. Okay.
No,
All right.
thank you. No, thank you, sir.
No, thank you, sir. All right. So I assume you didn't talk to Sonic Movie, right?
We did not. We tried to get a meeting with Sega, actually, but because of Sonic Movie, Sega was actually really packed this year.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think everybody wants to be part of the Sonic Movie.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Wow.
One thing about Licensing Expo is that, you don't really understand what a film release is in marketing terms until you go to the Licensing Expo, because all of the big properties are the ones that are releasing films. And the film release is kind of their bid to become a major mainstream property. It's like releasing a film is, we want to be Shrek, we want to be Frozen, we want to be
Avengers.
Avengers. Yeah. We want to be, DC Universe or Marvel Universe. And that's what each of these brands that's releasing a movie is trying to do. And so with Sega releasing a movie, it's kind of a big deal for everyone, especially people that don't care about the movie and just care about the market share reach that Sega is going to have for branding purposes.
I see. So no wonder they were packed. So it's strangely, as cynical as this sounds, it's not about the content, but merely the fact that it exists, right?
Yeah, it really is about the fact that it exists. And even if we all see the movie and we think, oh, it's going to be a bomb, the Sega is working really hard, working overtime to sell these marketing rights to the movie, and that's where most of the money is. Not in the ticket sales. The ticket sales just tell you how popular the movie is. The ticket sales tell you whether the branding people bet on the right movie or not.
So you're telling me that movies and licensing for the movie properties is essentially a really, really complex version of playing poker?
Kind of. It's really more like the stock market than poker.
Oh my god!
Because if you look at these things, you've got a pretty good idea of what's going to succeed or fail, and it's not zero sum, right? Like if Sonic Movie does well, everybody who plays wins, and if Sonic Movie does poorly, everybody who plays loses.
So it's like everybody's playing poker as the same person. Or
no, it's like the stock market, Marco. We just told you. This is a much better analogy.
I know nothing about stocks.
Well, I'll tell you, when you buy a stock and the stock goes up, your value increases. And if you buy the stock and the stock goes down, your value decreases. And if you don't buy the stock, then changes in the stock don't affect you. That's all there is to it.
I see. Okay, so if everybody buys the same stock and the stock increases, everybody wins, so to speak.
Everybody makes money, right?
I get it now. All right, so that's what stocks are. So at the end of the day, that's really wild to me to hear that the Sonic movie. To hear this, because I've never really thought about this angle when it comes to licensing.
To hear that big name business executives are entertaining the idea that the Sonic movie will be wildly successful.
Hey, Brad, do you think after they do the reshoot that it will be wildly successful?
I can't even comment on it. I think more people know Sonic from Smash Brothers than from the Sonic movie, and that's probably not going to change.
I mean, you're absolutely not wrong. And you know what? Why does Smash Bros do this to me all the time? Why does Smash Bros... Why is Smash Bros so good at representing the licensed material they have in their game? They do
a good job because they're also brand managers, right? Nintendo was there as well, and they had a huge booth with all kinds of stuff.
Ooh, did you go to Nintendo for Smash Exceed?
We did. We went to Nintendo's booth. Smash is obviously not a license they sell because it's a conglomerate. The only actual asset that Smash has is the bosses, like the light and dark bosses, and
Master Hand,
and Crazy Hand, and the Smash Ball. Like everything else is licensed from other things.
Yeah, for sure.
So you have to go to those particular properties to get them. But Nintendo was pushing a couple different properties, and we picked up their guide. We'll probably make some pitches to them, but they're notoriously difficult to work with in tabletop, and so we probably won't end up signing anything with them, even if we try.
I see. It's less about, is it just like compatibility, or is it just like...
So a lot of companies don't want to do the extra legwork that it's required to build a board game because there is so much oversight of the mechanics and the artwork, and because it's an interactive medium, it's just a lot different than, say, slapping a stock image onto a T-shirt or a backpack.
Makes sense.
Nintendo is known for the gameplay, and so they don't want to take a chance on a studio perhaps producing bad gameplay.
I see.
Even if it's in a different medium.
Yeah. Like, I guess it would be... I guess it sounds unheard of, right? But, like, for example, you just have a mechanic in the game that gives characters equipment, and one of your equipment happens to be a gun. And then, I don't know, you have this gameplay thing that happens where Mario gets a gun and then shoots
this game
Peach.
is actually Animal Crossing, and, somehow that slipped through, right?
Yeah, and then like in
there's
Animal
just
Crossing,
too much to it.
You get a gun and then you shoot KK Slider or something, and that's not good, right?
Yeah, like it's. I understand why. I understand why they wouldn't want to do this. Honestly, like I wouldn't want another company to make a World of Indians board game, right? Like we license the characters, and someday I hope that I'll be at the branding licensing expo selling our brand to make a movie, but. We wouldn't want somebody else to make an entire board game for us, or even a video game for us. We would want to sell as well to, shirts, hats, lifestyle products, prints, puzzles, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I guess there's like a certain attachment you have and a certain insight you have to the world that like no amount of branding guidelines would ever impart onto someone, I guess.
Yeah, it's true, and we can make a good branding guide, but it's ultimately it's up to the players who are, or the
manufacturers,
the brands that are there.
Yeah, for sure,
to make that decision.
Yeah. Any other stories, Brad? Any cool stories? These don't have to be related to like people you went to.
We went out and sang karaoke. That was fun.
Oh, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Honestly, it was pretty tough because they didn't have a lot of songs that I on my playlist. But they did have "Never Gonna Give You Up," so I got to sing that, and that was quite fun.
Did you sing that? Did you pick a Rick Astley song unironically?
It was picked for me, but yeah. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down.
We
never
just
rickrolled and hurt you.
We just rickrolled.
I don't think I got the lyrics even right, but
you got it right.
Did I?
Yeah, never gonna run around and hurt you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you.
See, it's run around and desert you.
It's desert.
We're both terrible.
That's true. I love Rick Astley though. Like genuinely, like not even ironically. I just actually like Rick Astley and his songs. Yeah. Do you know he has new songs?
I didn't. I'm not like a huge fan, but I've heard "Never Gonna Give You Up" so many times.
Yeah, because you got rickrolled.
I was rickrolled very heavily back in the 2010s.
Back in the 2010s.
Never quite the same.
Rick Astley exceed.
Rick Astley exceed. Wow. No. Actually, no.
Oh my gosh, Brad.
Rick Astley was not at Licensing Expo, as far as I knew.
All right, Brad. This is a really interesting question. What was the most interesting prospect you had? I'm not saying like this is a confirmation or anything. It's just like what would be interesting for our fans to hear. Because we've had Konami is awkward, we've had Nintendo is hard, but how about something promising?
Probably the most interesting one that we saw was probably the Rubik's Cube meeting was interesting because it was an odd thing. We also talked with Zorro, and that was pretty interesting because Zorro's got a lot of history. And, as somebody who lives in the Southwest, I feel a certain resonance to Zorro, too.
Yeah. I love Zorro. I mean, like, just the concept of Zorro. Like, not the specific thing you might be talking about, but yes.
The most memorable meeting, probably, we went to this agency to talk about Ruby. They were the handlers for Rooster Teeth, and we sat down and we talked to them and told them who we were and what we wanted, and they were immediately like, yeah, we don't have that license anymore, and then they tried to sell us like 3 more licenses, and then they tried to get us to hire them so that they could solicit us to to other licensors. So
wait, what? I was confused.
Yeah, it was kind of a whirlwind.
So they tried to get you to hire them. Oh, I get it now. So
to pair us up with other licensors.
They essentially wanted you to hire them to do the same thing that they were doing for Rooster Teeth, which is a bit awkward, I guess.
Not exactly. Kind of the reverse thing. They wanted us. So if we said, hey, like we call them up and be like, hey, we want to get Overwatch, make it happen, and then they will, do all the wheeling and dealing with Activision to make it happen, right? And
I see.
But I don't think that I didn't think that was gonna actually ever happen with the way that was. And so Activision, we tried to go up and talk to them, and they just stuck a form in our face and said, fill this out, and then maybe we'll talk to you.
Ooh, rip.
Yeah.
Rip Activision Blizzard.
So, yeah. I've had some interesting experiences at that show. My favorite quote from the show was at the Dark Horse booth. This is actually the first time I visited, not this year, but I went to the Dark Horse booth, and we were talking about Sin City, because about the time that movie came out.
Okay.
And the quote that most sticks in my mind, the woman there said, look, if you don't have $10 million, Frank Miller doesn't want to talk to you. and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my God.
And then I just left.
Oh my gosh.
So
I think I should use that to like assert my dominance on people at this point. Like, they're like, hey, Marco, can I have a minute of your time? If you don't have $10 million, I don't want to talk to you. That's, oh my gosh, that's, oh.
Yeah, it was like just kind of the audacity of it was surprising to me. But
yeah, I mean, like, number one.
I mean, I guess that's just how it is, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, it is Dark Horse, but to be fair though, I don't even remember what Sin City is. So, yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And, okay. So, any final things you want to talk about? Like any other interesting stuff happened at Licensing Expo? Who else did you talk to? Yeah.
So we talked to, like I said, we talked to a bunch of companies: Aniplex, Viz, Crunchyroll. We talked to a bunch of gaming companies. Let's see, we talked to Bandai Namco. We talked to Konami. We talked to Level 5. We talked with Nintendo. We talked with really all sorts of folks. And then, of course, there were the weirder ones. Like we talked to Zorro. We talked to, and the company that manages Zorro also manages Tarzan and a couple other comics. We did talk to Dark Horse again this time. They were a little bit more more approachable.
Only $5 million this time.
Yeah. Well, they wanted to push Umbrella Academy, right? Because that's out on Netflix now.
Because it's out on Netflix now.
Zenescope, we talked to them. We talked to this really interesting magical girl property called Adorned by Chi. We did talk with the company that operates Sailor Moon. Jackie really wants to do a Sailor Moon game.
Sailor Moon Exceed. Let's go.
We'll see what comes of that. But yeah, we had a lot of cool meetings, and we pretty much just have to put together all our proposals now, and then send those in and see what people want to make with us.
Okay, Brad, I'm not sure if you can answer this, but what are you most excited to give a proposal for?
That I probably shouldn't answer until we get started. But if it fails, I'll let you know what I was most excited for.
Okay, so I guess this is like the ultimate catch-22. Like, if it happens, you'll never know, and if you hear about it, that means
until the official announcement. Yeah, you only know what we didn't succeed with.
Oh gosh, that sounds like torture. But Brad, you know what isn't torture?
What's that?
This podcast. But despite that, it has to end because Brad. According to a turn of phrase that I've heard many people say, all good things must come to an end. And this podcast right now was a pretty good thing, so it must come to an end.
Well, thanks, Marco. It was great to talk to you, too, and I feel like it's been a long time since we did one of these.
Yeah, you were gone for Licensing Expo, and then prior to that, I think you guys were on the company retreat, so there's like a lot of stuff that happened, right? Mm-hmm. And you know what? Yeah. Overall, I'm really glad to be talking to you again. I've missed our brand of, I don't know.
Our brand?
Our brand of comedy.
If anybody wants to make a Level Cap podcast t-shirt, we got the branding material for you, by the way.
Yeah, it's just a picture of me and Brad hugging.
Yep, and then the cringe is the crave underneath.
Yeah. I need this shirt now. Can somebody Photoshop me and Brad hugging, and then just as the cringe is the crave
Oh my gosh.
on the bottom? If you do that, I will pay you actual money. So, without much else to say, Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Level Cap Podcast. I hope you all enjoyed finding out Level 99 games, licensed stuff, and hearing Brad's cool stories, especially about Rubik's Cubes. Rubik's Cube Exceed, maybe confirmed.
And Rick Astley karaoke. Yep.
And Rick Astley karaoke confirmed. Rick Astley karaoke Exceed. Right? So karaoke Exceed. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But regardless, I've been your host, Marco DeSantos, also known as the Rick Astley critic. And with me has been my amazing co-host,
Brad Talton, the Rubik's Cube critic.
And we would like to thank you so much. And thank you, World of Indians. Thank you.
Thank you, and good night.
Happy gaming.
The new Level Cap podcast is produced by Level 99 Games. Join us next Wednesday for more design talk and shenanigans. Thank you for listening.